Hi, everybody. Welcome to MPI's April open house. So let's give yourself a round of applause because we actually have a nice in-house audience here. And our in-house audience is very socially distant and far away from me. So anyway, we're glad you could be here. We're glad you're tuning in as well on Facebook and YouTube and our website. That's a big deal, man. It took a lot of wonky digging to figure that out. So I'm very happy to have that happening right now. My name is Kevin Walsh. I'm the Enrollment and Marketing Director. Prior to that, I was a 28-year high school teacher. I wish I would have stayed 28 the whole time, but for 28 years, I was a high school teacher, and I taught video production as well as language arts. And I've known about MPI for 18, 19 years. If you guys are just coming in, we've got a whole stack of chairs over there, so feel free to move. We also have 2 seats right up front. So we're glad you could be here. We're going to get you up and moving, and people here trying things out. People at home, you're going to be watching what's going on, and you can type in questions to Facebook or YouTube, and we've got some folks on hand that can answer those questions as well. A couple of housekeeping points, and then I'm going to turn it over to our host. Again, my name is Kevin Walsh, Marketing and Enrollment Director. My main job is to get the classes full. September 27th, we have a 12-month film production program beginning in our morning and our evening sessions, Monday through Thursday. Classes are 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. or 6:30 to 10:30 p.m. And we actually have a blended learning. So some weeks you're here on campus 2 days, and you're working at home 2 days on classes that don't require as much hands-on, such as screenwriting and production and editing. But even those classes, 3 out of the 12 weeks each term, we do get you here on campus. And we're proud to say that at the beginning of June, we got students back here on campus. And this is the classroom. You guys can see how giant this space is. And we're able to really practice very good social distancing, and the safety is something we're very proud of and we take very seriously, as does the film industry right now. So I want to also point out, Scott, who's going to be our host, is going to talk a little bit about our acting workshops. We have 4 acting workshops. The first one is 8 weeks, and it's for beginners. And it's going to be on Mondays and Thursdays, 6:30 to 9:30 at night, right here at MPI. So if you're interested in acting, even if you've acted before in theater, this will be all about acting for film. So that's something that a lot of people like to take. Maybe you're thinking about a film career, but this would be a good way to do it because you're actually going to be doing the classes here. You're going to be using the equipment here. So it's a little bit of a production class as well. We are also proud to tell you that we are accredited. FAFSA is being filled out by many of our applicants, and that sends the data to me, and I give those students or applicants a quote basically on how much federal student aid can come in from Pell Grants and loans and things like that. So that can really help your financing. So the application process is easy. It's free. It's right online. So if those of you are watching online on our website, you'll see it off to the my left, you're right. And you can click on that, but go to motionpicture.edu for more information. Okay, I do want to point out we've got a lot of people here helping us out today, including our alum. We've got Travis over here. He's going to be doing audio. Travis just graduated in 2020, and I think he's always going to be in my memory as the guy who got the longest applause at our graduation when we showed all the films at the Maple Theater, because he's an audio specialist. He's an excellent director, actor, singer, everything, but also he saved the day for a lot of films and really focused on audio. And it wasn't too long ago you were here at Open House, right, Travis? And I talked him into it. No, I think his wife talked him into it too. But anyway, you can talk to Travis about that. Alex Regala is right over here. Alex is graduated in 2016. 16. And she had a grip truck. She works on all things behind the scenes. You can talk to her about that. Any other alum? I'm looking around in the bright light. We're going to probably get a couple more that come in the door. Andy, right next to me, right in front of me. That's why I didn't see you, which is why I'm not an air traffic controller. Andy, what year did you graduate? 2013. He's an amazing editor. You're going to see a demo. The footage you're going to shoot here, Andy's going to take over and edit in front of you in the edit lab, but also he does all kinds of things, streaming, electronic, data management, and he'll talk a little bit more about that. Our cast and crew also includes our staff. I want to point out in the back, Kurt Mary is our CFO, our financing guru. He's one of our founders of our school, along with Doug Scholes. I don't know if Doug's in the room right now, but he is here as well. He's a director. They produced these films. Kurt and Doug have produced many films, and you can see their posters in the hall, which is why they founded this school. And it's a great story. And Kurt's going to get up in a little while this is going on to talk about how he got going here, but also about, what you're going to see. So Kurt and Doug know basically every department, and that's why they created this school, because they figured in 1 year, you get hands-on, you can get going on things right away. And it's real bang for your buck. It's a great deal. So we got more people coming in. Feel free to have a seat anywhere you want. We've got lots of chairs and lots of space. Okay. I also want to point out, we have Curtis. Curtis is right here next to me. He was a class of 2019. He is a filmmaker, and we've also wrangled him into helping us out 2-3 days a week here, and he's helping us out with enrollment and marketing. But he's actually doing a short film this fall, and he's been producing it and getting everything ready. So you can talk to him about that as well. And Jeremy Schroeder is right over here. Jeremy worked on many other things, but also he worked on Law and Order, and we had him as part of a student focus group. And all of a sudden we realized there's a gigantic Enchanted fan club out there, because Jeremy worked on Enchanted too. And I think about half the questions you got that day were all about Enchanted. Everybody. So Jeremy is going to be running the shoot you're going to be seeing here, and feel free. He's got a ton of war stories, and he's far and away my favorite guy to eavesdrop on, because as a teacher myself, he's a great teacher, but also his knowledge base is huge, and he's very, very super creative. He puts all these scenes together, and they're different every open house. And Scott Norman, I'm going to introduce Scott now. He's going to take over for me, and you'll be very grateful for that. I'm going to be available throughout the morning. There's a table over there that's got my name on it. Not really, but it is admissions. And Scott is going to also talk about the acting. If you want to talk about our acting program or acting workshops, he's going to be around, but he'll also be near that table that says, coincidentally, acting. So I'd like to turn it over to Scott Norman, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, Kevin. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for coming. It is really exciting to see such a full house today. We've been, doing these mostly online for a long time, and to get everybody in person really feels good. And welcome to the online audience as well. Yes, as Kevin said, my name is Scott Norman. I am one of the acting instructors here at the school, and I have a story to tell you. I have a long experience with MPI, and we hope that my story will encourage you, or at least inform you about what MPI has to offer, and maybe encourage you to join the family. I also want to first claim, since Travis mentioned that I was the one that taught them into coming to the school, but you'll see if my story helps at all, you'll decide if I was the one or if it was his wife. So I've been teaching here for a few years now, and I have to say that I love it. I love working with the instructors. I love working with the students. And I love when the students come back after class a year or two later to ask for advice or to tell me what they're doing. And it's fantastic. All the instructors have the same experience with students coming back and telling us how they're doing or asking us some more questions about how they can do what they're doing better. And it's a great experience. It's particularly great for me. I'm telling my story sort of memento style. I'm going backwards a little bit. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to work backwards through my history with MPI. Because before I was a teacher, I was a student here. A few years ago, I was sitting in this very room in those very chairs, listening to people talk about the school and how wonderful it was. And I made the decision there that this was the place for me. So it's cool now to work with the instructors who taught me the tricks of the trade. But the thing that brought me to that open house that day was that I had already been an actor, professional actor for about 10 years here in Michigan. I've been working on various projects in theater and films and some commercials and so forth. And I was struggling. I wanted to know what it was like behind the scenes. And I decided to check out MPI because through those 10 years that I've been working, every project that I'd worked on, a film or television, whatever, it had a graduate of MPI on the crew in some capacity. They were either on the camera crew helping out, or they were managing the camera, they were lighting the set, they were handling the digital media, or they were a PA of some sort, or a production assistant. And there was every single set, there was someone from MPI, and I thought that was fascinating. The reason I was able to identify that there was someone from MPI is because I'd already had a little experience with MPI when I first moved to Michigan. You can't probably tell it now, but I'm originally from New York City. You get me angry enough, that accent will come out and it'll be pretty clear where I'm from. But I'd moved here, my wife, who was from Pontiac, I was really chasing the woman of my dreams, but I had been studying acting, and she in New York, and she convinced me that there was enough work to do here in Michigan, which was kind of a surprise. And I know I did it backwards. I came from New York to Michigan to be an actor, but it was the right move. I had a lot of opportunities here. But one of the first opportunities I had when I was digging for things to do was I found an ad for this film school looking for actors to volunteer to be on a set to give their film students practice filming actors. And it was the first film set I had been on. I came out, I answered the ad, I was in the class. It was like, I think their first or second week of classes. And they had a camera crew, a sound crew, a lighting crew. I mean, it was a complete and fully functioning film set. It was the first time I'd had the experience. And I have to tell you, it was a class and they were learning. But every professional set I've been on since then didn't operate any differently than that class. It was professional from jump. That was almost 20 years ago when I came to Michigan. So I tell you all this story, my long experience with MPI as an observer, as a volunteer, as a student, as a teacher, to point out a few things. One, it's been here a long time. I moved out here almost 20 years ago. The school had already been established and been working and pumping out professionals, and has been pumping out professionals all that time. As I said, everywhere I go, there are people from MPI. I have friends in New York who are on film sets. I've worked with them, and they know people from MPI. The graduates are everywhere. They're not just working in Michigan. They're working in New York, in LA, in Atlanta, overseas, in Nigeria, in India, in Bollywood. The graduates, they've come from their home countries to Michigan to learn, and then they take what they've learned back. And the reason it works is because there is a language, there's a way of doing things that is consistent across the industry that you learn here. The next thing I want you to know is that it's, not just that it's a real deal pumping out professionals, but that you always have access to the help that you get from MPI. Students keep coming back. Here I am talking about my experience at MPI. Travis, he just told me he's been working weekly for almost the last year. He finally he had a weekend off and wanted to come here to tell you or to help you understand how good MPI was for him in getting him work. It's a family atmosphere. We keep talking to the teachers keep talking to the students. It's an ongoing thing because honing your talent isn't just learning something and then going out and doing what you learned. It's continuously learning based on the foundation that you build through your educational experience. And it's a network now. That family's network. We have connections, as I mentioned, all over the world, and we use those connections, as Travis might be able to tell you if you pull his ear later after the event we have today. So I hope that gives you a sense of what MPI has to offer. It's an established school, it's a proven system, and it's not gonna just leave you by the wayside after you graduate. You will always be able to use MPI's resources as you build your career going forward. Okay, so what I'd like to do next is give you a little bit of a taste of what MPI does, what we teach. We're gonna run a little film shoot here, and I'm gonna need some help. Do we have any actors in the audience? Anybody who's interested in the acting program? Okay, 1, 2, because I need 2 actors to volunteer to help me out here. Would you be willing to come up, or would you please stand up and come to the front? One more, all right. Thank you. Yes, please come to the front. Okay, stand over here for a moment, and I'll let you know what I need you guys to do in a minute. Thank you. All right. All right. Need 5 people. Okay, now for the crew, Jeremy is going to need 5 volunteers to help us with sound, camera, and moving the dolly. Anybody want to help and have their hands on? I know. Don't worry, you're not going to be on camera. You'll be behind the camera. This is the fun part. You have your hands on a several thousand, $10,000 operation here to give you experience.
Yeah, come on.
1, 2, 3, 4. We have our crew.
I think I have what I need.
Okay, I have what I need. Okay. So while we sit, all right, Jeremy's job, he's going to be in charge of the production. He's going to, I guess, production.
I will work as an assistant director once we get up, but meanwhile, I'm going to do a little technical instruction right now. Kurt, if you want to come up and talk about what we're doing while we go, since I just have me and Alex and Travis, it's going to take the 3 of us to pretty much put this together.
All right.
And Scott's got his job to do. Scott's going to act as the director.
As director, I'm going to be working directly with the actors. That's why I have an assistant director to make sure that the crew is all set up so I can stay focused on the performances. In the meantime, Kurt, our CFO, is going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing and a little bit more about the school. So we beg your patience while we get this together. Will actors come forward?
So what I need.
Are we doing good? All right, great. Hi, everybody. My name is Kurt Mary, as Scott introduced, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer of Motion Picture Institute. I also serve as the Director of Education. And as Kennedy stated, I'm also one of the co-founders of the school. So I've been here since the beginning, which started back in 1995. So we've been around, as Kevin mentioned, quite a while. What we're going to do right here is I want to describe to you a little bit about what kind of setup we're doing here over here. And this has to do with some of the more physical type of activities our students train on during the school year. If you look at our program, it's a 1-year program. It's comprehensive. It covers a lot of ground in a short period of time. And it was designed that way purposely because, you know, having worked in the film industry for quite a while, since the 80s, myself and the people who were involved in making the school knew that the film industry doesn't require 4 years of education to get a job. It requires proper training. It requires some experience, which goes along with that training. It requires a certain type of I won't say personality, but a certain mindset that you are going to go out and find the work and work in that environment. You know, film is very creative. It's also technical. The creative side obviously comes through in how you apply those techniques. And so our program combines a lot of that type of methodology when you go into the classroom. Students in our program, they write their own work, they shoot their own work, they direct their own work, they also edit their own work. And as the program goes on, they begin to kind of find out what it is they really love to do. And the program allows them to begin kind of specializing in those particular disciplines. So if you are if you're an editor, you know, you will do a certain amount of editing through the program of your own work. And then eventually you begin editing other people's work, which is really what the real world is about. And our goal is to get people trained up to the point when they walk out our doors, they have enough skills to go out and get a job, get employed, and begin making a career for themselves, whether it's here in Michigan, or if I think what Scott mentioned, you know, that we have students who are from out of the country or out of the states, out of Michigan, to go back to where they came and find gainful employment. So to give you a little bit of taste of some of the things we do here, and again, we're a hands-on school. We're a practical education, meaning that students that come here, they learn by doing. You know, they grab cameras, they grab hardware. You know, we teach them how to use it, of course, and then they practice using it, and they practice using it on various, you know, in-class exercises, simulations. This example would be an example of a simulation, but they also produce their own work, short films. And as Kevin mentioned, we have a film festival at the end of this school year, sort of our graduation ceremony. And we show the student thesis projects in an actual movie theater up on the big screen. So they can see how everything turned out, and they share it with their classmates, family, friends. and so forth. And that's, I think, for any filmmaker, that's really where you want your film to be seen in the end, is in a movie theater. That's sort of the creme de la creme, I think, for most people. Not that streaming services aren't bad; they're a great way to see work, of course. But you know, there's a certain level of exhibition you can't achieve on a flat screen television in your living room. So to give you a little bit more background on what we have here, in the first semester of our program, we have a class called Production Lab, and it's on campus here on our soundstage. And we bring in 5 instructors, and those 5 instructors break the class up into small groups, and they begin training them in the various departments you'd find on a film set, sort of the 4 basic food groups. You got camera, lighting, audio, and assistant directing, for example. And we have a script that we bring in. We bring in a guest director. We bring in actors, pull out the hardware, and we have them begin shooting a scene. There is some tutorial time before we actually start shooting a scene, because you just don't throw a camera at somebody and say start running with it. So we have little training activities and that kind of thing at the beginning of class, and then as the class goes on, it's a 4-hour class, mind you. Then we begin walking onto the set. And the point of the class really is not to really give them expertise in running cameras and things like that. It's really about departmental roles, understanding what happens on a film set, the communication structure, the different people in those departments, how they coordinate and work together, what their functions are. That's really important. It's really film set 101 in a way. And this is one of we call set etiquette, if you will. And it's one of the most important things that you really have to know if you're going to go start working in this industry. So what we have here right now, we have our camera department over here with, you can see there's a bunch of people huddled around it. Most people think there's just one person with a camera. It typically is what you see now with people have their phones, right? Just, I need one person and a camera. Well, in the motion picture industry, you need several people working a motion picture camera, because you're staging a shot, and there's a lot of choreography that goes into that. You need at the top of the food chain for that, you need a cinematographer who really is working alongside the director, and their job is to not necessarily operate the camera, although they can. They usually are in the video village with the director, and they've sort of told everybody what to do, what the setup is for the day, what the lighting is going to look like, what the camera settings are going to be. They have their own recipe for image creation, if you will, and they make sure that department runs smoothly. Then you have your camera operator, which is the person who actually points the camera at the subject and follows along with them. And that seemed like it'd be an easy job, right? Well, if you're staging a shot, there's so many things that go into making the perfect image. And the shots aren't just kind of photographed, they're designed. And that includes if there's movement in the shot, if there's choreography, the actors in the shot, the camera operator has to know exactly how the framing is supposed to go in the way the director wants it. So it's a very important position. Working alongside the camera operator is the camera assistant. This is probably one of the most important technical positions on the film set. This person's job is to bring the camera to set, to assemble it, make sure it works. Of course, they test it before they show up on set, make sure the batteries are charged, make sure all the monitoring works, all the cables work. They have to troubleshoot if anything goes down. But they assemble the camera, put the lenses on, put in the digital magazines, the monitoring, everything, follow focus. And one of their principal functions is to actually pull focus, which is actually to make sure the subject is in focus during the shot. And normally you would think that, well, don't you have autofocus? Cameras, aren't they everything in focus? And in motion pictures, again, no, if you're using telephoto lenses or long lenses, like we're going to see here, you're seeing this shot right here. As the camera moves, you have to maintain what's called depth of field, and you may want certain things out of focus, certain things in focus to direct the attention of the viewer. So the first assistant's job is to make sure the subjects are properly in focus, that they want to see in focus, and that everything else is out of focus. And so it's a very kind of pressure-filled job, because you have an actor who may do a great performance and the focus puller doesn't get the focus correct on that shot. They got to do it all over again and over again and over again and over again until they get it right. So again, time is money, right? So you make sure you have a good focus puller. You also have a second assistant camera person whose job is to basically be, a lot of times they're the slate. You see a person holding a clapboard or a slate. Their job is to write the numbers, the scene numbers and so forth on the slate and slap it, which is that clap sound you hear is actually used along with the audio department to sync the shot in post-production. But they do a lot more. They inventory the equipment with the first assistant, and they also bring lenses to and from the set. They fill out camera reports. You have to take lots of note taking and filmmaking, which I won't delve into right now. So that's just the camera department. I can imagine you have the audio department, which is separate from the camera department. In motion pictures, typically you will not find that the audio is attached to the camera. It's a separate unit on its own. It's a separate recording device. A lot of times because they have a lot of wireless microphones, boom poles, multiple microphone systems going into one recording device, and that device is designed to capture sound. Motion picture cameras can capture sound, but they're really not designed for capturing, the quality of sound that these devices do. And you usually have 3 people working in the audio department. You got your boom operator, which is the person over here that's holding the microphone over the set, not a frame. You have your sound mixer. There's the actual person who's actually running the audio kit, which has a mixer in it and an audio recording device, wireless mics. Then you have a person who's doing utility, which is basically could be a cable wrangler, because you'll see there's a cable that runs from the boom pole to the sound equipment, and they're making sure that no one trips over it, that it's out of frame, the actors aren't, getting snagged on it. And they also will fill out things like audio sound logs and things like that and make sure everything's there. Another department is lighting, which isn't necessarily represented here at the moment, but lighting is obviously a very big department. A lot of people work in lighting and grip. I didn't mention that on the camera dolly over here, we have a person who's pushing the dolly. They're known as a dolly grip. And their job is to set up the dolly and make sure the camera gets put on top of the dolly, and they actually push it during the shot. And like the focus puller, they have to be very careful in how fast or slow they push that dolly and when to start and stop. And it's a choreography. When you have those 2 people working in unison with the camera, you got 3 things going on independently from one another that have to work in unison. So that's why a lot of times you'll see films have to do multiple takes, just because they're not, it takes a while to get in sync. And also, of course, the actor has to pull off their performance. So you have all these different things that go into making up this particular, this one shot, if you will, to make the movie work. And the lighting department, which really comes into set ahead of time, and they actually work with the cinematographer to light the set. You got lots of positions in that department, from the gaffer, who's sort of the right-hand man for the lighting department. He's the guy in charge of the entire lighting department and grip department. You got your key grip, who's in charge of the grip department. And the grips are guys that set up like stands like this over here, like a C stand, or they may fly a butterfly frame, which is like a big silk on a 6-foot or 8-foot or 12-foot or 20-foot frame that block the sun or bounce light. Then you have electricians who hand up the lights. So it looks like they're getting ready to run a shot here.
I'm going to turn your light off.
Okay.
Scott's going to give us just a run.
Sounds. And of course, you have the director who has in charge of the actors.
Okay, so I'm just gonna let you, we're making this up as we go. So I'm gonna give the actors a chance to practice while the crew sees what we do, and then we can get a sense of what we need to put together with the camera, all right? Are my actors ready? Y'all watch it carefully?
Yep, go ahead and run it out there, Scott. Rehearsal's up, everybody. You got it, Scott.
Action.
Hello? You heard Marlena with Kevin? Are you serious? Where did you see that man? Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll talk to Marlena. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't believe this. My sister hanging out with Kevin. This guy no good for her. Why is she even with him? Like, oh man, I don't believe it.
Take it up with her immediately. Like, I heard you was on. I heard you hanging out with
Marlena, I
Kevin.
heard you was hanging out with Kevin. Like, are you serious?
Why do you?
You my little sister. Of course I care about you. You're supposed to tell me everything. Listen here, Marlena. If I hear about you here again, I'm gonna, I don't believe you. I don't believe I heard you. You are too good for him. He's bad news for you, okay? I'm not judging him. This guy has a bad record, bad reputation. That's it. If I hear about you here again, I'm gonna whoop him. No, you're my sister. I care about you and your future.
Cut. Thank you. I'll get back to you all in a minute. We'll make some adjustments.
So what we're doing here, you guys, we're working a little bit in reverse. Normally, the way that we would have run this is we would have done some rehearsals with the actors before we put all the technical stuff together. And then we would do our technical work so that when the actors come back, we're ready to nail whatever it is that they're going to do. Now, for the purposes of this demonstration, we're working a little bit out of order. But the rehearsal would happen. We, as technicians, would all take a look at it, see what we have to do. Actors would walk away. We would go to work, come back, light, set up all of our dolly equipment, all of our sound equipment, get all of our ducks in a row, if you will, for the photography element, and then come back together. Hopefully, we're ready to go without a whole lot of work once the actors are in place. So what we're doing now is we're sort of letting Scott rehearse with his actors who have never done this before. And we're going to try to put a shot together with whatever they come up with. So we're improvising a little bit, but the basic routine would be rehearse the scene first, technically set everything up, then come back and just shoot it. And that becomes our routine. That becomes our day-to-day activity of shooting the pictures for a motion picture. It's basically just a procedure of rehearsing each scene, lighting it, putting it together, putting it in the can, moving on to the next one. That's what you do on a film set day after day after day after day. That's essentially it. But it's exciting because everything's a little bit different every time. Scott, you ready?
Yeah, just, yeah, I'm gonna give him one cue. I think when he threatens to whip this Kevin's ass. That's when he start moving slow.
So Colby, what's his cue?
When he threatens to whip Kevin's butt, that's when you start moving it slow. We're gonna see, we'll see what that happens.
So this is going to be a nice slow creep in at a nice steady speed. The shot is going to become more and more about our man on the bed here. So we want to keep that, but you want to keep him sort of framed on the left side. You will need to tilt and pan right a little bit as he comes up. Okay. All right. Let's give it a try, Scott. Just give us the high sign when you want us to go.
Okay. So we go for tape.
Okay. No, let's just do a technical
Oh, one technical rehearsal?
Yeah,
Okay.
Rehearsal's up, guys. Take it away, Scott.
Y'all ready? Feeling good? And action.
Hello? You heard you saw Marlena with Kevin. Are you serious, Brad? Oh, okay. I'll take this up with her. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't believe this. My sister hanging out with this guy. Marlena, what are you doing hanging out with Kevin?
He's my best friend
Your best friend? Since when?
for 5 years, if you haven't noticed.
5 years? I didn't even know you even knew this guy. He's no good for you. Why are you hanging out with him?
Charge him too quickly. He's a nice guy.
Listen, when I see Kevin, I'm going to whoop him by hearing about you hanging out with him again.
You leave him out of this.
No, you're my sister. I care about you and your future.
Okay, cut.
Scott, I recommend we start moving later.
Yeah, that was a little, head than I thought was gonna happen. That's okay.
Why don't we start when he hangs up the phone? We'll start.
That sounds perfect, actually. Yep. Everyone try that again. I thought it was very good. Just as I said, a little different than we went the first time, so I gave them the wrong instructions. So, but let's just roll again as you want.
Gotcha.
Okay. One more time.
Hello? You start Marlena with Kevin? Seriously? Okay, thank you. I'll deal with this. I'll talk to my sister. Thank you. Marlena, why is it here about you hanging out with Kevin?
He's a nice guy.
No, he's not. He's no good for you. He has a bad reputation.
You judge him too quickly.
No, you're my little sister. If I catch you out with this guy again, I'm going to whoop him.
You leave him out of this.
No, I'm not. You're my little sister. I care about you.
Cool. So we need to increase the speed about 50%.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go a little quicker up to the front.
got to the yellow one.
Yeah, we're gonna go about twice as fast as you guys just went. I would say, Scott, if you wanna try one, we put it together and see what happens.
Yeah.
Very good, okay. So, you
Okay.
guys squared away what you want to do with the slate?
Remember, I want you to come in.
Oh my God.
Are you comfortable? You're comfortable being comfortable.
I did.
Okay.
No, no problem.
So I want you to like really please listen. You don't have to yell at me, but I want you down here because when they get close, we'll have you both in the street.
Pretty close right here. You might have to find your focus on it.
But y'all are doing great.
thank
I love
you.
it so far.
Thank you. Thank
I'm like, this is new.
A little bit.
Okay, but we're gonna be recording it next.
Yeah.
Open up your.
Okay, so take your place back to 1.
You got ready, holler out. You ready, Scott?
My actors are ready.
All
Yep.
right, roll sound, please. Speed, okay, and. Take one.
Oh, roll 1, C1, C2, take 1.
Oh, open it back up, second 6. Okay, camera has speed, Mark. Mark. Grab the stick, Mark. Yep, jump on out of there.
Hello?
Hold on a minute.
Wait for action.
Okay.
Okay. Set. Okay. Action set and action.
Hello? You heard Marlena out with Kevin. You seen him where? Okay, thank you. I'll deal with this with my sister. Thank you. Marlena, why are
What?
you hanging out with Kevin?
Because he's a nice guy.
No, he's not. He's no good for you. He's a bad guy.
What do you mean he's bad? He
Yes.
judged too quickly.
He has a bad reputation. I don't want you hanging out with him. If I catch you out with him again, I'm going to whoop him.
Leave him out of this.
No, I'm not. I care about you. You're my sister.
Okay, cut. All right,
Thank you.
couple of adjustments. I know, I would have her go down.
So how do you guys do?
Okay,
Pretty good.
nice work, thank you. Okay, so because we found the camera angle was a little high, I'm gonna need you to actually come down to your face. That's what that looks like.
Okay, so I'm back here for a second or two. Kevin wanted me to kind of talk a little bit about the Video Village, which is a
So that's
part of the production monitoring system that you use on a film. Now, the camera has its own monitors on it. As you see, the one small monitor, it's about maybe a 7-inch monitor. Some cameras have what are called EVFs, which are electronic viewfinders. And usually you'll see someone having their eye pressed up against the viewfinder and blocking out all their light with one eye. Then you have cables that run all the way, and it's sometimes wireless, sometimes they're wired, to an area that's probably about 20, 30 feet away from the actual set, sometimes even further. And it's called a Video Village. And this was actually something that was innovated by Francis Ford Coppola on a movie called Places in the Heart back in the 70s. And but it's become commonplace now. And you have the director, the script supervisor, the cinematographer, a variety of other people around a monitor, or several monitors sometimes, depending on if there's multiple cameras. And they watch the actual footage being recorded, and then they do playback. And then if they look for things that they want to adjust. And they try to get the monitor as close to the look that they think that the film will end up being in post-production. All right, we're gonna go again.
Go ahead and roll sound, please. Speed.
Roll one, scene two, take two.
Oh, hold on, roll camera. Okay, sorry, got it. Okay. Never mind. All right, we're all set, Scott. Go ahead.
Okay, so it said after set and action.
Hello? You heard Marlena was out with Kevin. Are you seriously? Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll talk to my sister. Marlena, why is this I hear about you hanging out with Kevin?
Because he's a good guy.
No, he's not. He's a bad guy. This guy has a bad reputation.
What do you mean bad reputation?
He's no good for you. Listen, if I hear about you hanging out with him again, I'm going to bust him.
You leave him out of this.
No, I'm not. You're my sister. I care about you.
And cut. Okay. Okay, so I care about you. Like I think you stay engaged with each other. Don't.
Okay.
So I care about. I thought that was a perfect thing, but you have to respond to that. I care about you.
So real quick, hey Scott, can you
Yes.
see her down
Oh.
at the last position there? So hey, Julian, find a focus mark on our friend down below there. Just pan over to. Just find that mark, just find that focus there. Move around till you find it. Is one of your other marks close to that?
Oh, yeah.
So when she gets down to the market at the end of the frame, let's push the focus to her. Okay, so at the very end of the shot, go from him down to her. So just find that spot. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. Let's go to one, guys. One. Who's not ready? Holler out. Oh.
No, that's not I.
Okay. So you guys roll sound, please. Speed.
Roll one, scene two, take three.
Hold on a second. Wait. Hold on. Open it back up. Okay, roll camera, guys. No, you just gotta push it once. It takes a minute to think about it. You use the side button, guys. There's a little red button on the side. There we go. Okay, now mark it.
Roll one, scene two, take three.
Second sticks. Got set.
And action.
Hello? Hey, You saw Marlena hanging out with Kevin. Are you serious? Okay, thank you. I'll deal with this. I'll talk to my sister. Thank you. Marlena, what is this I hear about you hanging out with Kevin?
He's a good guy.
A good guy? No, he's not. This guy has a bad reputation. But are you serious?
You judge him too quickly.
I'm not judging. This guy is no good for you. I know guys. This guy's a bad guy. If I hear about you hanging out with him, I'm going to whoop him.
You leave him out of this.
No, I'm not. You're my sister. I care about you and your future.
Cut. That's the tape. Nice work, nice work. That looked beautiful. Look very good, y'all. Thank you, thank you. That's, we got it. Yep.
All right, moving on. And then at this point, for the next shot, we go through the whole process again. Find the next shot that we have to shoot, set up for it, get it in the can, so on and so forth, until we complete all the shots that we have listed for that day or for that year, or however many shots we have to make for Lord of the Rings 17. So there it is.
It was a wonderful experience for me. I'm
Yeah.
trying to be an actor,
Hold
so.
on a second. I want to be able to get everybody listening up here. Okay. All right. So, thank you all. Thanks my volunteers. Thanks everybody for helping out. I would like for you all, if you don't mind, because our studio audience, our online audience wasn't in the positions that you were in. I'd love for you to share with them what that was like for you, what you saw, if you saw anything new, if it was what it was like for you, what you learned. All right. If you just take one at a time, take a microphone, I'd appreciate that.
Well, this is a really new experience for me. I found it really fun and I enjoyed it a lot. It was great.
So did you never did any acting before?
Not really, no.
Oh, okay. Was there anything surprising for you?
No, actually, I like how everything worked together. Just coming, like, you see the film crew and you and the retakes, just experiencing that for yourself is really awesome.
Awesome, cool. Thank you for your help. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Antonio Spate, and that's the reason why I'm here, to get a taste and a feel and experience for acting. I look forward to going to acting, and my open house visit here is for the experience of learning what MPI has to offer, and it was a great experience. Never done any acting before. It's my first time, so they asked me to participate, and here I am. I loved it. I look forward to experiencing that again.
Cool.
Yes.
Did anything surprise you? Did you learn anything new that you weren't expecting from it?
Everything. I mean, everything is new. It's my first experience, so yeah. It's
Awesome.
just,
Thanks for volunteering. That was a great
Yeah,
job.
thank you.
Both did a great job. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julian. That experience was fantastic. I've taken a few film classes at Macomb Community College, and I have a camera myself, so I know a little bit about the focusing. But it was great seeing like everything come together and the different elements at play, how they work together. That was nice. So.
Anything new surprise you after taking classes elsewhere and then coming here?
Oh yeah, I mean I've never been on like an actual film set, so it's like I didn't get to see all the elements come together in one part, so it was
All right.
great.
So that was just the teamwork over there.
Yeah.
Really came together for you. Cool. Nice.
So
Thanks.
thank
Thanks for your help. Good job. Good job.
This is all new to me. Everything I did before was like with a phone camera. Now, I understand why there's so many people involved, all the work involved in just little things, how easy it is to, like overestimate something or underestimate something, the dolly. Yeah, this is really fun. I would love to do more of this.
All right. Did anything really shock you or anything you're like, wow, that's how that works? Or
Just everything in the camera I done.
yeah, not a
something.
phone camera. It's a big,
Yeah.
big phone. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
I just didn't know all the roles that happened, so that helped me really understand like all the roles that
On
took
the
place.
camera
Yeah,
team. Yeah. All right.
and like the camera and how it worked. I was blown away.
Blown away. Okay. Was there anything special that was like, wow, that's how that is, or nothing really shocking?
I didn't know like people push the camera. Like the
you
dolly.
think someone
Yeah.
actually huffing and puffing behind the camera?
I never knew that
That's
happened.
new. Cool. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Hey, my name's Weston. I've been here
I've been here a couple times, last 2 summers maybe, except for probably last year I didn't come because of the whole COVID situation. So I thought it was really fun doing it back, doing it again. I thought I really wanted to do it again. And yeah,
What
had
was
lots
your
of
role
fun.
on there?
I was a boom mic.
A boom mic, okay. Did you see anything from the boom perspective that was new to you?
I haven't been on a set where we moved a camera before, so that was interesting and new. I really had a fun time with that. So,
All right, cool. Anything you want to share that was new today other than that?
well, I guess the new actors. I mean, I was impressed by them. I thought they did a good job.
Hey, y'all did a good
So-
job. All right.
Shout out to the actors, yeah.
Cool. Thank you for your help today. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate that. All right, so I'll turn it back. Thank you all for your patience and watching that. I hope it was revelatory for more of you who weren't able to participate. But if you have questions, you want to see that, see the camera and so forth afterwards, please hang around, stick around. In the meantime, I want to hand it over to Kevin and we'll get on with the next part of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you very much. Give yourself a round of applause and all those of you who felt comfortable walking around. We're going to take about a 15-minute break. Those of you at home are going to be watching some very interesting videos about our program, both the application process, what our courses are, as well as the financing side of things, but in a fun way. And also Jeremy took apart, actually did a high-speed assembly of that red camera you see over there. Incidentally, the movie Mank, that's up for a lot of Oscars this weekend, Sunday, was shot on a red camera. I think King Kong, Peter Jackson was that. I think that was one of the first ones shot on a red, but this is a big deal. This is a digital cinema camera. And I think we have 5 of these. We do have 5 of these. So this is a very unique thing, especially from a high school video teacher's point of view, when I was just happy the lights turned on. So this is kind of cool. So we're going to let you guys feel free to walk around. If you want to talk to Kurt about financing, hang a right. Andy's going to do a demo of this editing footage that you just saw in our editing lab. So you go down the hall, hang a left. Also, the videos that the home audience is going to be watching will be played on that. And after Andy's editing demo, we're going to be joined by Zoom from one of Travis's classmates, Sydney, who's going to join us and talk about what she's been doing, along with, you can talk to Travis, what he's been doing since graduating last October. But Sydney's producing a short film, and she was going to join us on set, but today's shoot got canceled. So she'll still be joining us on Zoom. So feel free to ask us questions. We're so glad you're here. And Weston reminded me to bring up, we have a summer high school video camp. Even if you're a 12th grader, you can be in it. It's 1 week in July. It's on the slides that you'll see going by. It's also on our website. So if you're interested, we actually do get quite a few students that end up enrolling here, start those video class, start their career at that summer camp. All right, so we'll let you stretch your legs. Thank you very much, actors and crew, and see you in about 15 minutes, everybody at home.
The best thing about MPI is hands down, the hands-on. That's really what it's all about. The students learn by doing. In the first 3 days of the first week, we've got you on stage and you're shooting. So, students love that. That's what they're here for. There's 4 terms. The first 3 are 12 weeks. The last one is 10 weeks. It's a 1-year program. We start in September. 3 terms go Monday through Thursday. We have a morning session and an evening session. The morning session is 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and the evening session goes 6:30 to 10:30. Both sessions are the same. So you have your choice of going to the morning session or the evening session. A lot of people are working, so the evening session works out. 2 classes generally per 4-hour slot. And then we have some lab classes that are 4 hours. But we teach everything. So directing, screenwriting, editing, lighting, camera. And then, of course, there's production management, which is my thing. And feature producing, we teach film career prep class. That is sort of gets you ready to go out into the real world. You do resumes, you'll do business cards, you'll do mock interviews, We bring in people that are in the industry to, talk about how they've done it and how you can do it. So we try to, incorporate all of that. When COVID hit, we were able to pivot pretty quickly. It was tough for the students because, everybody's used to coming in, but they adapted well too. Once we were able to come back into the school, we were able to take advantage of our big stage and move our desks into the stage area so that they're spread apart. And of course, everybody's wearing masks and the sanitizer and all that, but we were able to then come back into the stage and do the hands-on portion of the lab classes. Now that we're back to a pretty normal schedule as far as the hours go and the days, we are still doing online classes. We generally do a Monday and a Thursday online, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays are on campus. And we found that works. We usually do for our online classes, we'll have a 1-6-12. They'll come in the first week, the 6th week, halfway through, and the 12th week. And that gives everyone an opportunity to still interact with the instructor and each other. And that's worked out pretty well. We find that students really appreciate the fact that they don't have to drive in, especially on a Monday and a Thursday. We do have people from out of town who, will stay over on a Tuesday and a Wednesday to go to those classes, and then they can go home and do a remote on Thursday. Some things you just have to have your hands on. Lighting you have to do. Camera, you got to feel the camera. Sound, you have to do the sound. You have to hold the boom. You have to do those things hands-on. We have a directing class in the first, second, and fourth term. And the first term, you learn how to direct. So, the way to learn how to direct really is to do it. And we have all of the students are required to do a non-dialogue film. Each person directs their own and they work on everyone else's. So they get the opportunity to crew. And then in the second term, we do a dialogue film. It's a good opportunity for the students to see each other's work, because when the fourth term rolls around, we have a capstone project, which is a thesis film. And you're not required to do a thesis film, but if you wish to do one, you can. And that really gives everybody the opportunity to, to step up a little bit and, make the films a little bit longer, spend a little more time on it. But again, you're working with your classmates that you've worked with before to get this made. So the students own their films, and many of them take that last capstone project and submit it to film festivals. And we've had lots of award-winning films. I do career services as well. So we track our students to make sure that they're working in the industry or doing what they want to do. That's part of the deal. We track them to make sure that they're getting jobs. I get them jobs in that I get calls from people who are looking for graduates to work on whatever. We get a lot of calls for small movies, independent films, reality television coming through, music videos. The Detroit area is big on commercials and corporate videos.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Schroeder. I'm the technology manager here at MPI. I'm also an instructor, and today we're going to take a look at one of our brand new red 6K Dragons, which we just got. This is the latest member to our lineup of characters in our camera department. So let's open the box and see what we got. All right. Okay. So right out of the box, we can see it doesn't really look too much like a cinema camera. Doesn't have a whole lot to it. Has a start stop button, but that's about it. Doesn't even have a place to put a battery. So in order to turn this box into a functioning cinema camera, we have to do a little work. So I'm gonna go get some parts and we'll put her together, okay? All right, here we go. So all these parts came together to give us a functioning 6K cinema camera. But it still leaves us with the most important step of all, which is what do we do with it? And that's the part that's totally up to you. Thanks for watching. Good luck.
The whole purpose behind the school was to offer a kind of a low-cost alternative to the more expensive options of going to universities for film training and film education, giving you the same experience, and in many respects, actually more of an experience than you would find at the collegiate level, where you would have access to cameras, lighting equipment through the entire year, and it's more practical as opposed to theoretical. But the point was to offer a quick training ground to get up and running into a position where you can go out and get a job in the film industry, or if you're an independent filmmaker, the resources and the knowledge that you would need to start your own production company and get your own film project off the ground. One of the key, I think, benefits of our school is that our tuition in comparison to other film schools that do what we do at the scale that we do it is quite inexpensive, relatively speaking. Still, it's a good chunk of change no matter what. Any school, it costs money. But they've paid out of pocket. We've also had payment plans. So, we, depending on their, credit history and filling out certain paperwork to find out how things look for them, we do a worksheet and we do an evaluation to see how that might come together for them. And, payment plans allow them to finance, put a deposit down, for example, and then they would pay month to month or quarterly or semesterly. And that way they could, structure their tuition over a period of time. But once you've been accepted into the program, it really is helpful to figure out your financing as quickly as possible. You don't want to let that sitting out there. But in order to lock your seat into the program, we ask that you pay a $1,000 commitment deposit, and it's refundable. So if you decide not to come the day before classes start, you get that back in full. We have a limited number of seats in each session. And once those are filled, then you're left with whatever session is open. But when somebody comes in our door and they're looking at the program and they want to attend for a particular school year, the first thing we do is we direct them towards the school's FAFSA page or link page so that they can go online to the Federal Student Aid website and explore what Title IV options are available to them. It's not available to everybody. Depends on your background as far as if you had previous education, other loans, but it's really probably the best first option to go after. And it really breaks down into three options for federal student aid. There's the direct loan program, which is subdivided into the subsidized and unsubsidized loans. The unsubsidized basically is you're paying interest the moment you take out the student loan and it accumulates. You don't have to pay it back right away. You don't start that till after you graduate, but the loan's accumulating during the school year. The subsidized loan basically is you're not paying interest until after, it doesn't kick in until after you graduate and start making your payments. So people prefer those as much as they can get them. Then there's the Pell Grant, and to be eligible for a Pell Grant, you have to go through an application process through Title IV to see if they're willing to, grant that to you. Now, the direct loans typically won't cover the full tuition amount for our program. Get you close, but there'll usually be a gap where there's money left over that you still need to finance. So the options are to get a private education loan through, say, a credit union or something like that could fund the rest of it, or we could work out an in-house payment plan with you. And we kind of operate in the same way as a credit union. We would have you fill out a credit application, and then we would try to sit down and structure a plan with you. And our plans typically don't go beyond 12 months. So, depending on the size of the gap, you have to see what works for you. If it's something you can't do within 12 months, then you could get a private education loan, which I think those stretch out as far as 4 years. So the monthly payments would be less. You're paying probably more interest and that kind of thing, but that's another way. Or some people have done all three, where they've done, some Title IV, they've done some in-house with us, and then another gap of that chunk of that is through private education loan.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to the editing dungeon, the dark area where the film actually comes together. My name is Andy Bishop. I graduated in 2013. Hello to everybody on the internet. I'm going to be looking at the audience over here. Sorry. A little bit about myself. After graduating, I got a job through Catherine, our producing teacher, at a post-production house working on a independent sci-fi film doing VFX. And that sort of catapulted my career. And that's the one thing I can tell you about this business is if you get in good with somebody one time, they're going to refer your name out a lot. Because I know a lot of the parents have questions. Well, how do you get jobs after, after you graduate? And we're actually going to be talking to a former student, Sydney, after the editing demo to ask her kind of those questions on how she's getting work and things like that. One of the things that I do on set, I'm a digital imaging technician, a DIT. Basically, what happens with the footage after it comes out of the camera, it needs to be verified, backed up, and then sometimes it needs to have lookup tables or LUTs applied to them to create this look as to show for the director has a certain vision for the color correction. Then the post house has this little go by to say, hey, this is how I want it to look when you're done. This is the idea of the colors, the amount of saturation and stuff. So what we're going to do here is we're going to walk through just a simple, extremely basic editing process of taking in footage that you guys just shot, that these two dope actors just, won an Oscar for. Oh, that always gets a laugh. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we're going to go ahead and get started with DaVinci Resolve. Has anybody ever heard of DaVinci Resolve? You have. That's wonderful. Have you used it? You haven't. So DaVinci Resolve is an editing software. When you get home today, if you have any interest in editing, you can go to Blackmagic's website and download this software for free. This is a extremely robust and powerful software. That's why we teach it here at MPI. But the principles that we teach, you can take on to any other editor like Avid or Premiere Pro or Final Cut, whatever it is. So it's basically like a car. It's what's your flavor? What brand do you like? The buttons might be in a different place over here, but the principles are still the same. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, right click, and we're going to import media into the clips pool. All right. And I've already placed, that's not the right footage. I'm going to look up the footage. Where did I put it? I put it up here. All right. So red files are kind of interesting. Each shot goes into a folder, and depending on how long the clips are, they can be broken up into several different pieces. Now, an editor will normally have notes from a script supervisor, and we heard on set that Scott really liked the last take. So that's where we're going to start. An editor may make a decision to use a different chunk of a different take, but we have a good starting point knowing that the director liked the actor's performance there. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to grab that piece of audio. We're going to put that in there. And we're also going to import the audio files from that shoot so we can go ahead and sync that up. All right. So let's go ahead and drop this audio file in here. If you notice the waveform right here at the bottom, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see little bits of bumps. That is showing you how the audio is interpreted. So you can use that as a visual reference if the camera records scratch audio, because like they said, cameras aren't normally designed to get really robust audio quality, but they can get reference audio so that you can sync it together. So we'll go ahead, we'll throw the audio into the timeline. Maybe, there we go. And there are methods of automatically syncing stuff. Visually looking at this, what we want to find is we want to find that slate clap. And if anybody had to guess on the green bar, does anybody want to venture a guess where that would be just by looking at it? What's that? So right here, move this cursor over. I said move this cursor over. Jeez, just want to listen to me. This is the struggles of editing. So right here, we can see a large spike right there. I tricked you. I thought that was the spot, but I was wrong. I'm sorry. So we've got a big spike here audio wise. So we know in the audio clip, that's where that sound is. So let's play the sound. And the notes would also dictate that we had second sticks, that the slate was clapped early. So once they rolled the camera, they called second sticks to let us know that there were 2 claps. So we're going to listen for that second clap. Listen to Jeremy. Drone on. Okay, so we've got that slate mark right here. We know that this one is the audio take that we want to use. Embarrassing me, program. So now we're going to go ahead into the footage and we're going to find the second time where that was clapped. I'm going the wrong way. Editing can be a very tedious process if you couldn't guess it. All right. All right. Where is it? So we see it's coming down right there. So we're going to line it up as best we can. Just like that, I embarrassed myself again by lining it up with the first audio clip. So rather than move the video, let's pull this down this way. Also, much recommended not to use a trackpad to edit, using an actual mouse. All right, so we're close. So I'm a little early. Right. So now we've synced up the audio with the actual video clip. Pretty boring, pretty tedious, but it is the backbone of editing. Right now, the computer is struggling right now because you would have somebody like a DIT on set that would go ahead and transcode that 4 or 6K footage down to a 1080p footage so that it's easier to work with. So you can use the 1080p clips to edit with, and then when you go to render out the final product, you just replace all the files with that. There's a lot more that goes into editing than just syncing audio. Editing is the heartbeat of the film. It creates the tone, it creates the feel, anything from adding in a sound effect to knowing when to cut or who to cut with or who to hold on or how to hold on for a certain amount of time is going to change and impact the film. And that's why they say that, you know, great films can be made or ruined in an editing process. Does anybody have any questions off the bat about what they just saw or anything to do with editing? Yes.
not having an experience, how do you know that the audio is
So we see here that the slate clicks down. So I'm actually a tiny bit off. So right when it gets to that line, so we know visually, boom. And then, you know, that, like I said, there's a lot of times where if you have a lot of files and there's scratch audio on the camera, the programs can automatically do this for you. It's good to know how to do something the hard way before, you know, being able to do it the easy way. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes those programs, they might misinterpret a slate mark. They might have actually synced to the first one instead of the second one. So knowing how to do something manually is always a good backup. Any questions? Yes. Yeah, it all depends. There's a couple ways to do that. It's a great question. First scenario is I did a pause and then somebody coughed. That's very easy. I just isolate that sound and I use like a razor blade tool and I cut in and out and pull that piece out. And then I might copy what they call ambient sound from where there's nobody talking. But if we sit here in this room, you can hear the hum of lights or the AC, you know. So if you just cut that piece out and there's nothing there, the audience is going to hear a dip where everything just goes dead and then it starts back up. So we would fill that spot with that ambient sound. Now, the other way is if you possibly have somebody talking while the cough happens. There are programs that can isolate those sounds, that can grab those noises and either reduce them or completely eliminate them. It's definitely an art. Sound design is a huge art, and you can do some crazy stuff with it. Any other questions? Yeah, that was a good question. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing. All right. All right, Sydney, are you there? Oh, look at Sydney.
How are you, Andy?
Good. I feel like it's been weeks since I've seen you.
2 days.
2 days, and then I'll see you again in 2 days. Sydney and I are working on a project coming up pretty soon. Sydney, why don't you start by telling me how your experience was at MPI?
Sure. My experience was great. I graduated from a 4-year college in 2018, and I spent a year kind of trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. I graduated with a history degree, but I didn't want to teach, so I really struggled to figure out like where I fit best. And I remember about 6 months after graduation, I went to an MPI open house and I sat on the stage and listened to Kevin and Doug, and it just felt right. I know that's probably cheesy, but to me, I just like had that feeling, that, like a comforting, calming feeling. So I applied and I got in and started September of, 2019. And it was a great year. I came in wanting to be an editor because that's what I had experience with. And as the year went on, I took classes with Catherine. I don't know if they met Catherine yet, but she is lovely. And she inspired me with a little bit of confidence that I needed. And now I want to be an assistant director. So that's what I'm working on with the project with Andy. And it's what, thankfully, I've been able to do a lot since I graduated about 6 months ago. So.
Absolutely. Sydney is actually going to be my assistant director next week. So it'll be a first time working with Sydney, but all the stuff leading up to it, she's been completely prepared and right on. So can you talk a little bit about what an assistant director does before and during?
Yeah, for sure. So on set, an assistant director is really the person who keeps you on time. You usually have a set schedule and a time when you need to be out, a time when you need to start, and the actors, of course, have their own schedules in between. So you need to be really, really organized and on top of your game. You need to make sure the crew gets fed at a certain time, and if you promised people that they'll be out by, for example, 8 o'clock at night, they need to be out by 8 o'clock at night, and that's your job to make sure that all the pieces of the crew are working properly, that the DP knows, hey, we got to get this shot by this time. And the most important thing that I've learned through MPI and afterwards is that that person in that position as an assistant director, you command a lot of respect and you have to be respectful. So you have to strike that balance, because anybody can show up on set and bark orders and tell people, hey, we got to be out by 5 o'clock or whatever, but you have to be respectful of everybody. And so to keep that time and maintain that balance is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep going. Keep going.
No, yeah. And before you show up on set, you're basically the one that makes the schedule. You send out a thing called a call sheet. Sometimes it's the night before, sometimes it's a couple days or about a week before, whenever you feel it's appropriate. But that tells everybody when they need to arrive on set. Special notes, it tells everybody what exactly you're going to be shooting, the location. It's basically all the details that you need to know. And you as the assistant director are the one that makes that schedule. So you need to coordinate with all the actors and with all the crew, make sure people are available, make sure they know ahead of time where they're going to be going, so that if they have any questions, it's not a last minute sort of situation. You never want to be last minute. You want everybody to show up prepared and on time so that your day goes as smoothly as possible. So
yeah, absolutely. And I can speak from experience directing projects with assistant directors that might not have had that right balance and combination that you talked about, where it is, just barking orders and trying to keep us on time, but not handling it in a professional way. And having an assistant director that is respected and is respectful of other people really helps keep the crew motivated. We're working 10, 12-hour days at a time. And so morale is super important on set, keeping your crew happy. Now, the one question I get asked a lot, Sydney, is what do you do after you leave MPI? How do you get work? And I can only speak to how I've gotten work, but how have you gotten work since you've left school?
yeah, so at first it was really discouraging because I graduated from MPI and I thought I had it all together, just like when I graduated from college. And it took me a couple of weeks to find anything that was paid in the film industry. So I remember sitting at home in my room thinking, like, is it me? Like, did I do something wrong? But it's really not that. Is that everybody's got their own journey and everybody is working at their own pace. So if it takes you a month, if it takes you 2 months or however long to get a job, it's not necessarily on you. You just have to always be putting yourself out there, because a lot of this is who you know and not necessarily what you know. So just network and put yourself out there. And the more people who know your name and respect you as a person, the more work you're going to get. Something that I was told recently was that it doesn't matter if you're super talented. If you have a bad attitude, nobody's going to want to work with you. And that's true. I've been on sets where somebody's really, really talented, but they're not the greatest to work with. And then you don't work with them again. So be as nice to everybody as you possibly can. And if you're really good at something, show that, obviously, but remember to be humble. And when you graduate, again, just talk to as many people as you can, and eventually something will work out. So for me, I did a project, low budget project. We didn't get paid, but it was something fun that I did with my friends the end of September. And then in October, because I had put myself out there, I got onto a commercial, and then I got onto a TV show. And then if there were days that I couldn't show up, I recommended somebody else, and then they got a job. So that's another good thing too, is you can work off of recommendations of other people. And then if you're in that position, if you have a buddy who really needs a job, if they're good at something, or you know that they'd be good in a certain position, shout their name out, and it might come back and help you in the long run.
Absolutely. They say pay it forward, and that's the important thing to do is if you can't do something, recommend somebody that you trust, because not only does it help them, but if you recommend somebody that doesn't do a good job, that's going to reflect back on you. My first gig, like I said, was Catherine helped me get And by posting all of these things every day, Catherine's searching the web and finding opportunities, and people are contacting her saying, hey, I need some PAs. Hey, I might need an AD or an editor. And she's constantly putting those things up. So there is a support system here at MPI to help you find employment after you leave. Does anybody have any questions for Sydney, who's much more interesting than me? Don't be shy. Anybody? No? Assisting, directing? No, they're a pretty quiet bunch today. I think I turned them off with all my bad jokes, but you know, that happens. So Sydney, thank you so much for jumping in. Is there anything else you wanna say before we clear out? Oh, we got a special guest that wants to say hello.
What's up, Sid?
Travis, hello.
What's up? Yeah, I've been working with Sydney on a lot of films since.
Oh my gosh, Travis is the best.
Yeah, thanks for telling everybody. Thanks. I thought I was. Well, yeah, you need to tell him I need to be on his film. Tell him who I am.
Travis is like the sound god. Hi, Jer.
What's up there, Lil Funk? That's for your next video. I know you.
Oh, I got you. I got you. But that's the thing about MPI.
I'll talk to you.
You know, we're a close-knit family. We're constantly recommending each other. Most of the people that I work with are in different years of MPI graduates. So the cool thing is, like, I actually started working with people that graduated both before and after. So the network is huge. Everybody wants to help everybody. Everybody wants to grow. Everybody's got something going on and has a gig for you to jump on. So last chance, questions. Yes, we have a question.
You talked about wanting a volunteer job, and I kind of got like, what is, when you go to college and you say, oh, I'm going to be an accountant, okay, yeah, accounting, the salary range that accountant would get.
Sure. Sydney, did you hear the question?
I did not. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. This gentleman's way in the back. The question was, what kind of pay can you expect working in the film industry? And I can say from my experience, it varies depending, and it also depends on the position that you jump in. The cool thing about my position is I get a day rate whenever I go on set. And then also any gear that I bring that I own, the commercial companies have to pay rentals for. So not only am I making money myself, my items that I'm bringing with me are making money, because that's a lot of money that I've had to personally invest in it. So it's a very lucrative field. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Sydney.
I could. I would say when you first start off, you should expect that you should probably have a part-time job if you're going to be freelancing too, just because it takes a bit sometimes to get momentum and to get onto projects, and you don't want to be reliant upon, hey, I worked 1 job this month or 2 jobs this week, and then have a dry spell and that's the only thing you're doing. So for me right now, I have a part-time job in Lansing. It's in the industry, but that's something that I do when I'm not freelancing. And then obviously the hope is that someday you'll be getting onto enough projects that can be your main source of income. I have a friend, he's a gaffer, and that's exclusively what he does. And he has a bunch of gear that he's accumulated. So that's pretty much the way he makes a living, is by being a gaffer and having all of his gear. But I think it probably took him a bit of time to get there, and it doesn't always happen in, say, Michigan. So I'd say it's more possible to move to LA or Georgia and be working full time. It's not impossible in Michigan. It's just you're going to have to work for it. So
yeah, a lot of the full-time positions are going to be in the auto industry, or as in like filming stuff for the auto industry, a lot of car commercials. I'm completely independent. I'm completely freelance. I've been freelance since 2015. 2015, I believe. I took an internship at a post-production house that turned into a paid job. But since 2015, I have a house and I have a wife that I have to answer to. So, I have to make, okay money. So I've been able to survive off that and be happy. So there is a good way to make money in the film industry. Like Sydney said, at first, it's smart to kind of have a part-time job, but after that, you can definitely, as long as you're willing to hustle and work, you'll be all right. I hope that answers your question somewhat. Anybody else? Nope, no questions. All right, well, Sydney, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah, of course.
Please leave.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Thank you, Internet, and we're going to be flipping back over right now.
Us back in, I just want to take a moment to thank our online audience for taking your time with us today. We hope it's been educational and giving you informative about what our school has to offer, and we hope that you make the choice to become a part of the family. Just a few reminders that we are now taking applications for our September 27th start date. That's when the program begins in the fall. The application is an easy process online. You could begin typing it in online and getting your information and application into us immediately at motionpicture.edu. Keep in mind that we are FAFSA eligible, FAFSA, which stands for which means you can get, if you're eligible for federal student loans and Pell Grants, you can use that to pay for your education here at MPI. If after what you saw online, you decided, man, I wish I was there, I really wanted to see all that in person, I'd love to touch that camera or see what the lights look like, set up a private tour. You can call us for that, or again, you can drop by us at motionpicture.edu and set up that tour, and we'll happily take you around, and so you can make your final choice about whether you want to begin your career with us. Thank you for your time. Thank you all for coming back. You'll stick around for questions. Go to our website and we can engage further. Thank you.
So my name is Letitia McIntosh, and I completed the 2020 filmmaker program here at Motion Picture Institute. My film is called Fresh Man, and it is a depiction of college fraternities and date rape. I had a lot of content that I needed to get filmed in a short period of time, and so I actually had a full second unit, and they were filming simultaneously, even with some of the actors who had to be in both places at the same time or, within the same day. The reason why I even found MPI is because I was looking at some editing classes I wanted to take, and then when I looked into it, I was like, oh, this seems like something I could potentially do, and I have the ability to kind of put people together and connect with people. So definitely producing seems like it's like the role I'm kind of falling into. But I do like locations, doing location management, finding the locations. I helped a lot of my classmates. It was a long year, 2020 had a lot going on, and it was a struggle, but it was well worth it.
My name is Brendan Schreiber. I'm the writer and director of Amendment. Last September, actually on my car ride to and from MPI, and I was listening to the Inception soundtrack. And obviously there's that famous scene in the hallway. So I was trying to think of something similar with some sort of spy espionage that I thought would be really cool. But I also wanted to add some sort of time travel element into it. But funny enough, what got me first thinking about it wasn't any of the music. It was orientation day, and in walks this kid in these sunglasses, his hair slicked back, and I look at this kid and I go, if you put a gun in his hand and you put him in a suit, he looks like he belongs in Inception. And that was Yang.
My name is Yang Wang, and I play the role Masato. The way I portrayed that character was he was very serious because he wants to be good. He's a newbie in the film, so he's just trying to do his best in the job. I got a text from somebody, a random person, saying that they wrote a film just for me, like the character. And then I told Connor about it, and I was asking Connor, who's this person that that's just kept asking about me.
My name is Connor McBain, and I am a graduate of the MPI production program and the acting program, and I play Edwin in Brendan Schreiber's Amendment. So Edwin is sort of the guy, you know, cracking the safe. He's the guy sort of behind the scenes of the job, the brains of the operation, if you will, where you have, you know, Masato and Isaiah on the scene, getting the job done, getting the details, nitty gritty. I am the guy, you know, they're kind of relying on to break into the safe. And working with Keanu was an absolute blast. Keanu is one of the friendliest, most humble people you could ever get a chance to work with. And he's super passionate about the film and the collaborative process and how we all get to, you know, put in a little bit of our own spark of insanity to make this cool piece of art.
Amendment was insane from the get. And Brendan comes over to me and he's like, hey, I have an idea. Let me know if you're interested. Here's the script. I start reading and I just couldn't put it down. Before I know it, I'm on the last page and I'm like, oh my word, yes, I'm in this movie. And he did something really ambitious for a short film. We moved like 3 times in a day and we still had time to take a break and play cardhole and eat like sandwiches. Like it didn't even feel like work. I was just told, hey man, we're gonna roll now. You ready? I was like, yeah, let me just get this one beanbag in.
Even though by the end of the day, we were all tired. We wish we could go back to that and do that again. But that was a really cool experience, seeing everybody work together and get it done.
My name is Dolores Flynn, and I'm a recent graduate of Motion Picture Institute, class of 2020. My thesis film is called Mama. It's about a woman who suffers from postpartum depression, who decides to leave her family, and she comes back 11 years later to deal with the fallout. I came to MPI as a former journalist, so I've always loved to write. And in graduate school, I took a screenwriting class, which made me fall in love with movies. So it just worked out that the timing was right. I was passing MPI one day on my way to church, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go check that out. And the first time I set foot on the soundstage, it just felt like home. What was most surprising for me is falling in love with directing and working with actors. I really think that's a passion of mine that I want to pursue in the future.
Dolores Flynn is insanely meticulous. She's got everything down to a pin drop. It's really, really insane. And working with someone like that as an actor, you can't get better than that.
I've been fortunate enough to have been busy since we stopped classes on September 11th. 2 projects that I'm most proud of that I can't really say too much about, but it's a Pepsi spot and then a show with National Geographic. And I think what's most significant about those projects is just the impact that they're going to have on other people. They're just very inspirational stories.
My name is Hunter LePan, and I'm a recent grad of the Motion Picture Institute in Troy, Michigan. I'm originally from Canada. I moved here for school. My thesis film is The Superstitions, and it's a film about common superstitions. So like 7 years bad luck when you break a mirror, or if a black cat crosses your path, you get bad luck. And when it came to my thesis, when it came to thesis season time, I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. So he's like, well, why don't you like shrink your movie into this? I'm like, but then somebody's gonna steal it. So like, I kind of like was worried about it, but then I just went all out. And I'm like, you know what, I'll just lay it out. And I'm like, I can use this as a pitch. And the school is so great for that because it gave me the opportunity to understand how pitches work and how like the actual side of the business aspect of film and how that all works. So it was really cool getting to see everything come together and then to know that I could do something with it in the future, aside from me just having it as a film.
He came to me about that film looking for a happy, lighter tone.
I didn't know how I was going to do a color grade. I just knew that like we talked about it in editing 5, I believe. and I, I had no idea how to color grade. And my buddy Benson, who was my colorist for my film, but he made everything about that film come to life.
Claire wanted me to approach the look for the bad and good luck in a different way and showing the difference between our world and then their world. So we got to really experiment with these different shades of purple, and we went for a deeper shade that was still felt lighthearted, but also felt a little like suspenseful and tense at the same time.
I came in knowing absolutely nothing. MPI prepared me for my thesis because you guys made me so over prepared that I had tended to shoot 3 days, but I only did 2. But I learned so much stuff along the way and found out what I wanted to be in the future. And it really, that's what got me through my thesis, because I was so over prepared and I knew how every department was able to work that I manipulated it to be as convenient as possible. After graduating at MPI, I'm now working for HGTV. So that's pretty cool. Like you're watching something as, like, not, I don't want to say growing up, but like you're watching something on TV and then you actually work for them. It's a huge thing.
My name is Matthew Jarjosa. My thesis film is Children Are Monsters, and it is about 2 giant monsters that attack Tokyo, a father and son. And the father is trying to teach his son how to be a monster. I was inspired by the Godzilla films of the 50s and 60s. Obviously, I've been a lifelong fan since I was a child. And, you know, that's where I got my first lessons in filmmaking. We had one heck of a time building all the buildings and whatnot. It was day in, day out. We were coming in and, you know, with different materials and putting together, about 30 or so buildings and to try and make up all of Tokyo. It was a lot of effort and it was a lot of hands on deck.
The costume, that was amazing. The makeup, wardrobe, and everything. I love the way that they created this little Tokyo city. Like, because I've seen Godzilla movies, things like that when I was smaller, and I always wondered how it was. And seeing that in person, the way it was shot, it was an opportunity that I've never experienced.
My entire year at MPI was an experience that I really couldn't get anywhere else. It was, you know, a hands-on experience that, you know, I had gone to OCC before, and while I learned a lot about film, I didn't really walk out really knowing how to make a film, and MPI in that regard was truly invaluable for teaching me that process.
My name is Sydney Van Leeuwen. I'm a recent 2020 graduate of MPI, and my thesis film was called Claire de Lune. Film is about a woman who loses her child and has some health issues, mental health and physical. And she begins to think that she sees her child as time passes. Technically, the film spans about 10 years. And over the course of this 10 years, she deteriorates mentally and physically and sees the child more and more. And her husband, who begins to drink heavily, just does not believe her, and he commits her to an insane asylum.
What she was going for was a Haunting of Hill House look, and it had this kind of blue, teal, green, kind of washed out, a little bit rich in the color, but it had this feeling of grogginess and just horror. She was very specific about what she wanted, which really helped me and really bring out the best out of what she was expecting.
Before I came here, I just was kind of lost and I didn't really know what to do. I had gone to a 4-year university. I graduated 2018 with a history degree, and I love history, but I didn't want to teach and I didn't want to work in a museum. So I had jumped from job to job trying to find something that made sense, that worked for me. Winter of 2019, I found MPI. I came to a open house and I remember sitting there hearing, I think it was Scott. I remember hearing Scott talk And I just thought to myself, this is where I need to be. This is the place. And then I came here and I met so many wonderful people. I had a great time. It was so much fun. Each film that we got to do, I just saw myself improve as a person, as a industry professional. It's a process, but everything in life is a process. So I'm just enjoying the ride.
Travis Williams. I'm class of 2020 from MPI. My thesis film was fun to do. The title is Even the Score. It's about a middle-aged computer programmer. He has a younger wife, so he makes sure he keep her and keep her happy. And he's just frustrated that he can't get his credit score to come up to what he wanted to be, so he can live life lavishing. I came to MPI for the sound part of it. I'm a musician, been doing the music for 30 years or so. I learned a lot about film sound is a little different from music sound. I learned how to mix movies opposed to music. It's a different beast. My overall experience was, it was great. Befriended a lot of people. I have new friends now. Most importantly, I have a lot of friends in the movie business. So you need people. You can't just do that by yourself. You need people. And I think it was some good team building skills that we learned here. I think the hands-on approach was very important.